It didn't fade quietly. It detonated. Something has shifted in Cardi B's universe, not subtly, not privately, but in a way that feels seismic. And if you think you already understand her story, you're about to realize you are only watching the surface. The woman commanding the stage right now is not the same woman who once stood beside Stefon Diggs. That version? Gone. Erased. Buried under something far more dangerous. Forget the breakup gossip. Forget the soft whispers about heartbreak. What's unfolding isn't recovery. It's evolution. Raw, unscripted, and almost unsettling in its intensity. People traveling with the tour describe a presence that feels different. Colder. Sharper. Untouchable. They say Cardi B isn't just performing, she's reclaiming territory. The emotional weight she used to carry? Dropped. The mental fog? Cleared. The romantic ties? Severed without ceremony. And the transformation didn't creep in slowly. It arrived overnight. Those muted, restrained vibes that defined her Stefon era have vanished. In their place is something electric, a kind of freedom so aggressive it borders on defiance. Audience members aren't just cheering. They are witnessing something. Every step she takes on stage feels deliberate. Every lyric lands like a coded message. Every glance dares someone, somewhere, to challenge her. Single. Thriving. Unreachable. But here's where the glow turns into shadow. Because the timeline doesn't sit quietly. It raises questions. A romance that moved at lightning speed. A baby entering the picture almost as fast. And behind the curtain? Rumors that refuse to die. Allegations that Stefon Diggs may have been entertaining multiple connections while presenting a different narrative publicly. Names started circulating in online forums and gossip threads. Young Miami. Selena Powell. Whether coincidence or smoke signaling fire, the speculation intensified. Nothing confirmed. Nothing clean. Just enough ambiguity to keep the internet restless. Then came Cardi B's own cryptic symbolism. She spoke about the year of the snake, about shedding skin, discarding what no longer serves you. Rebirth. Renewal. Cutting off dead weight without apology. It didn't sound poetic. It sounded personal. And that's the uncomfortable question hovering over all of it. Can someone rise this quickly, this powerfully, without carrying invisible scars? Because this tour? It doesn't feel like a comeback. It feels like a declaration of independence. A public execution of an old chapter. She isn't asking for validation. She's announcing dominance. And the internet sees it. Every clip dissected. Every pause analyzed. Every smile questioned. Viewers aren't just watching a performer. They are scanning for cracks in the armor, waiting for the next revelation that could flip the narrative again. She even leaned into symbolism further, calling this the year of the horse. Strength. Force. Unstoppable motion. She mentioned the timing, the moon aligning near the beginning of Ramadan, describing it as a sign, a lucky omen. To some, it sounded spiritual. To others, strategic. A reset wrapped in meaning. Whether fate or framing, one thing is undeniable. The stage lights aren't just illuminating Cardi B. They are exposing a new version of her. One untethered from the shadows of Stefon Diggs. One that feels calculated, aware, and intensely self-possessed. An insider's hint that what's happening backstage is even more volatile than what fans see under the spotlight. The kind of tension tabloids dance around. The kind of truth that doesn't get printed, it gets whispered. Because it wasn't always power and poise. There was a time not long ago when fans could sense the heaviness. The restraint. The dimmed spark. Those close to her say she was operating inside a routine that dulled her edge. Performances lacked that unpredictable fire. Confidence appeared filtered, cautious, like someone navigating emotional landmines behind the scenes. But that version of Cardi B? She doesn't step on stage anymore. And then, something snapped into place. The confusion that once clouded Cardi B began to dissolve. In a late-night live session, she peeled back just enough of the curtain to make people uncomfortable. She admitted that around February and March of last year, her mind wasn't steady. Her thoughts were scattered. Her focus? Fragmented. She never labeled it depression. She didn't have to. You could hear it between the pauses. This wasn't weakness. It was transition. A shedding. A silent demolition of a version of herself that no longer fit. She spoke about the year of the snake again. About molting, about survival, about cutting away what suffocates you. It sounded symbolic, but the subtext was loud. Her chapter with Stefon Diggs wasn't just ending. It was being surgically removed. And the timeline? It refuses to stay quiet. A relationship igniting at the start of the year. A baby entering the picture at a pace that made even loyal fans blink twice. The speed alone triggered suspicion. Was it passion moving too fast to control? Or was it something carefully packaged for the public? Then came the online murmurs. Claims that Stefon Diggs may have been entertaining other connections while presenting stability at home. Threads began linking names: Young Miami, Selena Powell. Nothing confirmed. Nothing solid. But enough smoke to keep the fire alive. The speculation spread faster than facts ever could. In that same live session, Cardi B circled back to those months. Late February, early March. She described herself as not being in a good place. Not broken, just overwhelmed. Work pulling one direction. Emotions pulling another. Mental noise everywhere. But listen closely to how she speaks now. Her tone is slower. Controlled. Intentional. She says she's finally free. Free from distractions. Free from emotional weight. Free from relationships that demanded more than they returned. When she talks about performing now, she describes it like oxygen, necessary, effortless, life-giving. Every stage belongs to her completely. No divided energy. No background tension. That clip alone detonated across social media. Because those weren't random reflections. They felt like coded declarations. The old Cardi B, the one negotiating emotions behind the scenes, had disappeared. In her place stood an artist who had recalibrated her priorities with ruthless clarity. But just as fans began celebrating the glow-up, darker whispers resurfaced. Insiders began hinting that Stefon Diggs' alleged side involvements didn't start at the end. They may have been happening during pivotal moments. Milestones. Sensitive periods. Again, nothing proven. But enough to make people question the foundation of what they thought was a solid bond. And here's what made it explosive. Cardi B never attacked publicly. She never spiraled online. Instead, she redirected everything. Pain became fuel. The tour transformed into more than entertainment. It became a battlefield. Each city another line drawn. Each performance another receipt. Those working behind the curtains say her presence feels intensified. Sharper. Louder without raising her voice. Confidence restored? No. Confidence weaponized. Every lyric sounds deliberate. Every stare into the crowd feels like it's aimed at someone specific. She isn't just delivering music, she's sending signals. She even addressed her career directly. Said it was never over. Never finished. Just buried under noise. Around this exact time last year, she felt stretched thin. Now, she points to everything she's achieved since then like evidence in a trial. Her message was blunt. Discomfort builds strength. Survival creates power. If she could drag herself through chaos and come out elevated, so can anyone else. Cry if you need to. Then get up and handle your business. Backstage, in a quieter moment, Cardi B admitted last year was heavy. She had to release people. Release situations. Release illusions. She said her vision was blurred, that her energy felt trapped inside circumstances she couldn't control. Now she says she sees clearly. Truth. Freedom. Power. Not newfound power. Reclaimed power. That distinction matters. Because what audiences are witnessing isn't luck. It's reconstruction. A woman dismantling and rebuilding herself in real time. Still, the storm around Stefon Diggs hasn't fully dissipated. Allegations. Speculation. Unanswered questions about loyalty and timing continue to orbit the story. But the real twist? Her silence. She refused to drag the narrative through public mud. No messy back and forth. No online warfare. Instead, she let success speak. Growth speak. Dominance speak. That restraint made the story bigger. Her independence stopped feeling personal and started feeling strategic. Almost political. Every concert. Every caption. Every subtle phrase in an interview sounded intentional, like someone reclaiming authorship of their own biography. Fans started analyzing everything. The posture shifts. The pauses in her live streams. The way she smiles when certain topics surface. They are connecting dots that may or may not exist. But one conclusion keeps resurfacing. Cardi B isn't reacting anymore. She's controlling the narrative. Look closely and you'll see it. Every tilt of Cardi B's chin. Every calculated pause between lyrics. Every expression that lingers a second too long. They all point to the same conclusion. This isn't just growth. It's transformation under pressure. Liberation earned the hard way. Power that doesn't ask permission anymore. But this story isn't only about elevation. It's about exposure. Because behind the glow-up, there are fractures people can't stop examining. Insiders quietly suggest that family dynamics may have shifted too. The absence of Hennessy Carolina at multiple tour moments didn't go unnoticed. Fans expected her shadow at every major appearance. Instead, silence. Was it distance? Scheduling conflicts? Independent projects? Or something unspoken, a silent understanding that Cardi B was stepping fully into autonomy, even if that meant walking alone? No one had answers. And that mystery only fed the obsession. Meanwhile, one question refused to die. How much of Stefon Diggs still lingers in her story? Is this truly a closed chapter, sealed, archived, finished? Or is there unfinished business buried beneath the headlines? Judging by her stage presence, reconciliation feels unlikely. The energy she projects doesn't whisper nostalgia. It screams finality. Yet the rumors keep breathing. Every interview becomes evidence. Every performance feels like testimony in a courtroom drama built on love, betrayal, and reinvention. Her aggressive choreography. Her unfiltered commentary. The subtle but pointed references to past struggle. Together, they've built a narrative too loud to ignore. Social media hasn't blinked. Fan pages, gossip blogs, reaction channels, all dissecting her body language like forensic analysts. A blink here, a lyric there, a pause that feels intentional. The consensus? Cardi B didn't just return. She detonated. This isn't a simple comeback arc. It's a declaration of sovereignty, of independence sharpened by experience. The stage belongs to her now in a way it never did before, not shared, not divided, not compromised. And the spotlight doesn't flicker. Every whisper becomes part of a larger saga, a collision of private pain and public spectacle. Transformation wrapped in controversy. Drama unfolding in real time. Because the truth is, the story doesn't end when the lights dim. That's when it deepens. Her single era isn't just personal evolution, it's a public event. A slow-burning thriller playing out through sold-out arenas and Instagram lives. Beneath the glitter and applause lies something layered, volatile, almost cinematic in scale. The moment she stepped back on stage, people close to the production sensed it. The shift wasn't subtle. It was atmospheric. This wasn't performance. It was proclamation. She had dropped emotional weight, shed a connection that insiders claim once drained her momentum. Every note now feels deliberate. Every movement precise. Every stare into the crowd carries the signature of someone reclaiming stolen energy. And sometimes, she doesn't even need to speak. Her silence does the work. Still, the shadow of Stefon Diggs hovers at the edges. Allegations about overlapping connections continue circulating online, with names like Young Miami and Selena Powell reappearing in digital conversations. Confirmed? No. Persistent? Absolutely. Fans aren't casually observing anymore. They are decoding. Rewatching interviews. Replaying live streams. Searching for subtext. Is she sending messages? Is she addressing him without saying his name? Or is this simply what true detachment looks like? The ambiguity is addictive. At one point, Cardi B admitted she feels on top of the world right now, grateful for the support flooding in while other aspects of her personal life quietly unfold. She was careful with her wording. She clarified it wasn't about a relationship. But she acknowledged there are private pressures she hasn't fully unpacked publicly. That vulnerability hit differently. In another rare moment of reflection, she said she's survived the storm. That she sees clearly now. That she understands what she deserves, and what she refuses to tolerate again. She made it explicit. She's not looking back. Not for anyone. Not even for Stefon Diggs. That clip spread like wildfire. Because her tone wasn't emotional. It was resolute. There was no tremor in her voice. No nostalgia hiding between syllables. It felt like a line drawn permanently in ink. Observers noticed something else, an undercurrent of warning. As if she was signaling that anyone who misjudged her independence would eventually realize the mistake. The tour itself has become a battlefield of perception. Each city she conquers feels symbolic. Every sold-out venue another stamp of authority. Backstage reports describe subtle changes that speak volumes. She's more decisive now. More direct. Lighter, yet somehow more intense. The cautious filtering that once shaped her public interactions has dissolved. What's left feels raw and unguarded. And that rawness? It's rewriting the narrative in real time. And still, the murmurs refuse to die. What started as online chatter about Stefon Diggs slowly evolved into something louder, a recurring topic in insider circles. Not confirmed exposés. Not official statements. Just persistent questions. Some voices even suggested he struggled to provide the kind of stability Cardi B wanted for her children, forcing her to juggle motherhood and a relentless tour schedule at the same time. Nothing proven, but the perception alone was powerful. When Cardi B spoke about wanting a present, grounded father figure in her children's lives, it didn't feel abstract. It felt intentional, precision-guided. Every lyric she delivered, every caption she posted, every offhand comment in interviews suddenly carried layered meaning, half reflection, half confrontation. Then there's the timeline, the detail no one can ignore. A romance that ignited quickly. A child welcomed into the world not long after. The speed unsettled people. Was it authentic connection moving at lightning pace? Or a high-intensity bond that began cracking once the spotlight dimmed? Internet detectives went into overdrive. Old interviews resurfaced. Archived posts were re-examined. Casual remarks were reframed as clues. What they built wasn't clarity, it was a web. A tangled, complicated map where fact and assumption blurred into one continuous narrative. And yet, through the noise, one reality stayed solid. Cardi B had changed. The shift in her energy wasn't subtle. It was visible in her posture, audible in her voice. Her stage presence radiated ownership, the kind that only comes from surviving something destabilizing and choosing not to collapse. But she didn't rely on performance alone. She weaponized interviews. Each conversation led new depth onto the story. She acknowledged the hard months, admitted the confusion, spoke about growth without pretending the pain didn't exist. Insiders described her openness as unprecedented, not reckless, but measured. Honest without being chaotic. Even the absence of Hennessy Carolina continued to spark debate. Was it distance? Personal focus? Strategic privacy? Or simply a sister allowing space? The public filled in the blanks themselves. In this environment, silence became evidence. A missed appearance turned into a theory. A paused sentence became a headline. Every gap felt loaded with meaning. At one point, Cardi B thanked her supporters with visible emotion. She admitted she hadn't felt this happy in a long time. She said she missed her kids, that they'd be joining her soon. It was simple, human, unfiltered, but even that moment carried weight. Fans replayed the clip repeatedly, analyzing her emphasis on happiness, on freedom, on distance from whatever once dimmed her light. The way she spoke about missing her children, balancing vulnerability with strength, reinforced the image of someone choosing clarity over chaos. Behind the spectacle, there was strategy. The tour wasn't random. The stage design reflected rebirth. Lighting sliced through smoke like something cutting its way out of confinement. Wardrobe changes told a silent story, from restrained elegance to bold dominance. The choreography demanded attention instead of asking for it. Everything signaled control. Online commentators picked up on the tonal shift. The heaviness that once hovered around her presence had been replaced by something sharper. Not dangerous to fans, but undeniably powerful. The kind of power that makes people uncomfortable if they underestimated it. And the rumors about Stefon Diggs only intensified the contrast. Speculation about overlapping connections, about emotional instability, about cracks that may have existed from the start. Each unverified claim poured fuel onto an already burning narrative. Meanwhile, backstage conversations painted a different picture. They described a woman who had recalibrated her priorities, who spoke clearly about stability, about creating an environment aligned with her standards. When she referenced wanting consistency for her children, it felt less like shade and more like a boundary. Every casual remark carried subtext. Every smile suggested relief. Even Hennessy Carolina's limited visibility continued feeding discussion threads. Was it tension? Timing? Or simply growth happening separately? The truth remained private, but the speculation was public. And through all of it, Cardi B's world looked different. Where it once appeared intertwined with someone else's decisions, it now felt self-constructed, intentional, controlled. Her music reflected that shift too. Songs that once hinted at compromise now echoed independence. The lyrics struck harder, landed cleaner. No hesitation. The live shows amplified everything. Audiences didn't just hear the difference, they felt it. A seismic emotional upgrade. A performer no longer negotiating her power, but fully occupying it. In interviews, she refused to romanticize struggle. She acknowledged it, then moved past it. No dwelling. No spiraling. Just acknowledgement and forward motion. The pattern became impossible to ignore. This wasn't random growth. This was Cardi B reclaiming authorship of her story in real time. Every stage appearance, every public statement, every deliberate pause formed part of a calculated reclamation. Freedom after restriction, clarity after confusion, strength after emotional turbulence. By the time the segment ended, the message was unmistakable. She had rewritten the chapter. Analysts debated what this meant for former ties. Commentators speculated about future fallout. Fans wondered whether anyone could ever again stand in her shadow without being eclipsed. And as the lights dimmed once more, one thing lingered heavier than the applause. This wasn't just celebrity gossip. It was a power shift playing out in public. This isn't just a shift in public opinion. It's a rupture. The way the world sees Cardi B right now, her ascent, her reinvention, the turbulence that once surrounded Stefon Diggs, has fundamentally changed. What's unfolding isn't subtle growth. It's a visible power transfer. The fire in her delivery, the steel in her posture, the unapologetic dominance radiating off every stage, it doesn't feel accidental. It feels intentional. For years, critics believed they had her figured out. They thought her story was predictable, contained, manageable. But what they are witnessing now is a woman dismantling that narrative piece by piece. She's cutting loose whatever weighed her down and rebuilding in full view of millions. And that kind of transformation makes people uneasy, because sources close to the situation hint that the polished surface, the sold-out arenas, the confident smiles, might only tell half the story. Beneath it, there's tension. Alleged betrayals. A relationship timeline that moved so fast it left observers dizzy. The speed alone raised eyebrows. The aftermath raised more. This isn't about simply moving on. Cardi B appears to be redefining what resilience looks like under a microscope. Instead of collapsing under speculation, she weaponized it. Instead of retreating, she amplified. Instead of explaining herself, she performed louder. And the industry noticed. Executives, bloggers, rival artists. Everyone is watching, not casually, but carefully, trying to decode the subtext she's broadcasting without ever naming names. Every lyric sounds layered. Every pause feels deliberate. Even the absence of certain people from her orbit sparks fresh waves of analysis. The questions have become unavoidable. Was Stefon Diggs ever fully anchored in that relationship? Were the circulating rumors about outside connections isolated incidents, or fragments of something larger? And most pressing of all, how fiercely will Cardi B defend the piece she claims to have finally found? Fans aren't scrolling past anymore. They are studying, replaying interviews, screenshotting captions, slowing down concert footage to read between the lines. They are trying to connect dots that may never align publicly. But the obsession only proves one thing. The narrative has shifted in her favor. Because regardless of speculation, one reality stands firm. The energy pouring off this tour doesn't resemble last year's version of her. The hesitation is gone. The emotional fog has lifted. What's left is sharper, colder, focused. She's not asking to be understood. She's demanding to be respected. Cardi B today is more calculated, more self-assured, more impenetrable than she was 12 months ago. And she isn't letting anyone mistake that evolution for coincidence. So pay attention. Because this isn't the resolution of a scandal. It's the beginning of a new era. One where she dictates the pace, the tone, and the fallout. The next chapter? It won't arrive quietly.